Welcome, welcome. This is Chris Hendricks. On behalf of the council, we decided to let the early birds in a bit early for our holiday edition of our self-advocate discussion series. Thank you for being here. Feel free to say hi in your own way. We've got Bethany, we've got Angelique. Am I saying that correctly?
Bethany said good afternoon in the chat, but I noticed that she went off camera. She was going to be shy.
That's all right. We got Johnny Thomas.
A repeat offender. Welcome back, Johnny Thomas.
Welcome back. We got Chris in Austin. Hello, hello. There's Johnny.
Welcome
Happy
back.
holidays, buddy.
Hello, can y'all hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Loud and clear. One of the things I want to acknowledge is that unless you're on camera, you can't get these wonderful graphics to play up your whole screen. If you're on camera, you can get different graphics that allow you to fill up your screen to show a little personality. But if you're off camera, you can only get the one little thing in your top hand corner. So if you like to express yourself by using the graphics and the pictures, you have to be on camera.
Hey, that's a beautiful incentive.
Whee! Yeah.
And remember, today's topic is giving back. So one of the ways you can give back to us, if you feel that you have the courage, is to come on camera so we can see your lovely faces. Just throwing that out there. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, it is go time. It is 1 o'clock, so I'll get us started. For those of us trickling in from the waiting room, welcome to the Council on Developmental Disabilities Self-Advocate Discussion Series. My name is Chris Hendricks, Policy Education Coordinator for the NCCDD. On behalf of the Council, thank you all for being here on this very special occasion. This discussion series is a place for North Carolina self-advocates to gather and engage with each other to talk about things that affect our lives as people experiencing life with intellectual and developmental disabilities and other disabilities. We want this time together used to get to know each other and to get to know the North Carolina Council, where I and other individuals with IDD are leaders, colleagues, and we're valued for our input because we are who we are. People with disabilities should always be valued like that, and this discussion series will demonstrate why and how. And now, this is, I would say, at least it's Philip Woodward's favorite item on our list that we're going to experience. We couldn't possibly do a discussion series these days without having a joke of the day. Or in our case, jokes of the day, plural. We've got two for you. Where does Santa stay for vacation? Any guesses?
Santa stay for vacation.
Where does Santa stay for
All
vacation?
one word. Santa stays in an igloo. for vacation.
That's a very good guess, Philip. That's a very, very good guess. Any other guesses before we reveal the truth? He stays at the Ho Ho Hotel, of course. Next, we have, what do you call people afraid of Santa? Any guesses, Philip?
Claustrophobic.
Oh, who said it? Who got it? Who was that?
Larry did. I got it.
Larry
got it.
Sampson. Yay.
Well done. Your prize is my unending gratitude and appreciation for your wit. Well done. Well done.
Excuse me, what was the answer? Santa Claus, Santaphobia, right?
Claustrophobia. Claustrophobia.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I didn't hear the answer. Oh, cool. That's funny. Yeah, hi everyone. It's Yvonne talking. I don't do cameras, so.
Well, that's okay. I'm glad you're here, Yvonne.
All
So
right,
glad
thank
you're
you.
here.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You give good voice, Yvonne.
You do.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And my mom was a legal secretary, so she used to be, on the phones a lot. So maybe I got that from her. I don't know.
Either way, it's beautiful. This is going to be a little bit more of a free flowing session.
Okay.
But last
Thank
month,
you.
of course, last month we talked about appreciating what we have and expressing gratitude. And today we're going to discuss what it means to make an impact, and perhaps more importantly, learn how small acts of kindness can make a bigger impact than we think. We'll discuss giving back in the IDD community. The core of our self-advocate discussion series has always been valuing ourselves and being valued by others. But what does bringing value really mean? Marketing, business, and philanthropy expert Jamie Bell defines providing value as supporting a person or organization to meet their needs in a measurable way. As self-advocates, we have a very grounded and powerful understanding of what support means, and we can use that to our advantage when coming up with ways to give back in our community. Today, we'll start by sharing some examples of what leaders have done in the past to give back in the IDD community. May we continue to be inspired by the creativity within our community when it comes to helping others. After hearing about some of the disability community leaders, we invite you to share your own stories and experiences of giving back in the community. Just a few things to keep in mind as we share. There's lots of different ways to give. There's no such thing as big or small when it comes to giving. It's the giving that counts. Giving doesn't necessarily require a physical exchange of goods or services. You can give someone your attention, your wisdom, and your empathy just as easily as you can provide them a small gift or a service. And thirdly, the most important gift anyone can give another is their time, because it is the one resource we all hold as valuable and dear. After we share our give back stories, we'll offer some holiday giving tips and tricks, and maybe you can think about adding to your own journey of offering in your community. We'll also share volunteer opportunities that you might consider. Just like we discussed on being thankful last month, you might be surprised what good comes back to you when giving is at the centerpiece of your own holiday tradition. Whether you're giving back within the self-advocate community or outside of it, it's important to remember that each of us is going through something. So try to keep in mind that we truly are connected even when we cannot see how. And by forgetting for a moment about our own challenges, we might be surprised how quickly solutions come into focus. Now for our next slide, we're going to talk about a few celebrity givers, as we like to call them in the IDD community. You all may remember Judy Heumann. She had a huge role in Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 that led to the first U.S. federal civil rights protection for persons with disabilities. She co-founded the World Institute on Disability. Does anyone want to take a minute to share what they also know, anything else they might know about Judy Heumann? No pressure. Well, I'll just quickly share that Judy Heumann was truly the one that inspired me about grassroots self-advocacy in our community and learning about uh, the history of the disability rights movement. Next, we've got.
I'm sorry, I had my hand raised. I didn't know if you wanted me just to open the
Oh
mic.
no, please. That's my. I apologize for missing you. Jump right on in, Pamela. Go ahead.
No problem. If you want to learn more about Judy Heumann, it's usually on Netflix. Is the movie Crip Camp, and you hear a lot about Judy and a lot of the advocates that started. You know what you're talking about with the 504 and a lot of the amazing advocacy that we now take advantage of. That started out with her, like what you're saying with grassroots. And then the other thing, there's just so much inspiring about Judy. I listened to her book on Audible, The Being Human, and the stuff she went through to be a teacher. The stuff that she went through to be a teacher in New York back in the day is just ridiculous that we wouldn't have to put up with it today, because of the work that she and others like her, but she was really inspiring. So thank you for the time. I love talking about Judy Heumann. She's amazing.
Well said, and I'm so glad you're here with us today.
I'm happy to be here.
This next person, I'm sure you'll know a lot about as well. This is Eunice Kennedy Shriver. She was an activist for disability rights. She founded the Special Olympics. Those are the big ones. Does anybody want to share anything else about Kennedy Shriver? And if you want to share and I'm not seeing you or calling on you, feel free to unmute and just jump in, by the way.
This is Philip Woodward here. I will chime in about Eunice Kennedy Shriver. The Shriver family was involved in starting an organization called Best Buddies International Incorporated, and they received a Community Living Mini Grants initiative from the council earlier this year, where they did work in the school systems in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg County area to help students with IDD feel more connected to other people in their community and to get more job opportunities. So we appreciate the work that Best Buddies has done in North Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you for that share, Philip. Next, we've got Lois Curtis, famous for the Olmstead Act. She was the plaintiff of that very, very important civil rights decision for people with IDD. Does anyone want to share more of what they know about Lois Curtis?
This is Melissa. Would anybody like to share what they know makes the Olmstead Act important? Why is that meaningful to us in this space?
Oh, I think it's Yvonne. I think it's because it helps with disability rights in some way. I just can't remember specifically, but I watched the the Olmsted webinar. I think it was like 6 months ago. So, hello?
Yeah, keep
Oh,
talking.
okay.
You're doing great, Yvonne.
So I watched the webinar about 6 months ago. It was called the Olmsted, and there was a lot of people on the panel, including people from here. So it was very good webinar, and I hope they have it again. Will they have it every year, do you think?
We will be talking about the Olmsted Act for a long, long time to come. So yes,
Okay.
Yvonne, the reason why, and what Yvonne has said is absolutely correct. And one of the simplest ways to define the Olmsted Act is it basically tells people who live in institutions or congregate settings or people with disabilities have the right to live where and with whom they choose. Nobody is required to live in any location that they don't choose, and particularly in institutional settings. So thank you. That's the simplest way I can describe it.
You're welcome, and I appreciate you spelling it out again for us, so we could be reminded and always knowing our rights and stuff. Because sometimes you know your rights, but you forget, you know. So so it's a
Yeah.
good thing to know. It's good to know that because I definitely don't ever want to be in a group home or in any situation where I can't live on my own independently. So so yeah, this is a really very important rule, very important law there.
Well said. Well said. This is Chris, and as a fellow artist, I'll just remind everyone that Lois Curtis is also a brilliant artist, visual artist, and has some of her art really all over the place. But some notable spots include the White House, which is pretty extraordinary. Next, we have Helen Keller. Helen Keller was an author, an educator, and dedicated her life to public advocacy. Does anyone else want to share something they know about Helen?
Helen Keller was born with it. They feel that she was born without disabilities, but she without having any disabilities, but she got like scarlet fever, they think, or measles, and became blind and deaf, and was basically she was born in the South to a wealthy family, and they just let her run based wild. They know she couldn't communicate with people, and she would just grab food off of people's plates. And then she had a teacher, Anne Sullivan, who had uh, sight difficulties, and she taught her how to communicate using I don't know if it was actually ASL at the time, but she taught her how to communicate and open the world up to her. And when they opened up the world, she was a very intelligent woman. And it's, I think the lesson with Helen Keller is don't, if you don't give somebody a chance to communicate, then you'll never know what's amazing about them, and never allow them to be advocates. So we all have something special in all of us.
So well said. So well said. Last but certainly not least on our list, and there's more beyond here, but Justin Dart had a role in the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. Does anyone want to share anything they might know about Justin?
He's a Texan.
He's a Texan. That's great. Thank you, Pamela. Chris Phillip had his hand up, and Pam Dempsey wrote about Lois Curtis in the chat box. Lois was an amazing woman, an artist, a friend, and she loved receiving notes in the mail. And Pam put another link in the chat so you can go learn a little bit more. as well as reminding folks that we send out a resources email to everybody who registered for this session. So you can get all of this information and all of these links in an email following the session. And I hope that Philip will put himself back in the queue and let us know why he had his hand raised. There it is.
Thanks for keeping me honest there, Melissa. Appreciate it.
Hi, this is Philip Woodward here. I just wanted to show that Pamela McAfee showed some very impressive facts about Helen Keller. So thank you, Pamela, for sharing all of that information about her. I was just going to add that she traveled all over the world, including to countries like Japan. And my family and I have been wanting to go to Japan since 2020, shortly before COVID-19 hit. But the main thing is that Helen Keller did something most of us haven't done, and she didn't let her disability stop her from seeing the whole world. Thank you.
Well shared, Philip. There's also another fun fact specifically about the signing of the ADA in the chat. It says it had to be signed outside because the White House was not accessible. That's really, really cool. Well,
Here's
it's not cool, but it's cool to know.
here's another fun fact about Justin Dart. If you ever need any good quotes about disability advocacy and rights, look him up and you'll get a bunch.
That's something I'm going to spend some extra time doing. Thank you, Pamela, for sharing that. And then Johnny in the chat shares with us that Justin Dart Jr. was an American activist and advocate for people with disabilities. He helped to pass the Americans with Disabilities Act, co-founded the American Association of People with Disabilities, and is regarded as the godfather of the ADA. What a cool share. By a show of hands, using your Zoom reaction feature or your physical hand if you're able, have you heard of some or all of these individuals?
The reaction feature is that little bitty heart. If you see a heart-shaped symbol at the bottom, if you can't find it at the bottom, there's a circle with 3 periods in it, or 3 dots, the ellipses. And if you click on that, it will have the react word. And if you click on that, it'll give you the choices from the heart symbol.
I just wanted to say Helen Keller used hand signs. Well, her teacher used hand signs in her hand, and I think that's how you define it as hand signs. And that was back in the 50s, I think. 40s, 50s.
We will have to look the actual dates up. I don't know.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, but I know it was called hand signs because he had to spell it in her hand over and over. And that day she was at the fountain, and everyone knows the history after that. So, yeah.
In case people don't know the history, she was trying to get any word, one word, anything through that Helen would understand. And one day they were at the water at the pump, and I believe it might have been in the 1800s, so it was a lot longer ago. And Anne Sullivan kept signing water in Helen's hand and putting her hand under the water. And there's been movies and plays called The Miracle Worker.
Yes, that's right.
And when it clicked that when she finally figured out water, she dragged Anne around asking for the signs for everything around her. I'm gonna get choked up because it's like a really amazing movie and story.
Yeah.
This is
Thanks for the
Philip
history
Woodward
lesson.
here. When Yvonne was talking about hand signs, I believe she might be referring to tactile sign language.
Oh,
That's what it's
okay.
called, where Helen Keller could not see other people doing sign language in the air, so they could do it in her hands and she could feel it. So I just wanted
Oh,
to share that term with anybody here who has not heard that before.
I never have. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In the chat, it says that the hand signs are print on palm. Am I reading that correctly? Is that the proper name? Yeah, this has been an
Correct.
extraordinary learning opportunity. I think the first time we went over these historical self-advocates, people shared about their connection to these individuals, but I don't remember so much knowledge being shared. This is pretty exciting.
Chris, I think our interpreter was just using, this is Pam, just using that as a way to help explain it. It's not actually print. I think if I know my Helen Keller history reasonably well, that at first they did spell the alphabet, but of course it had to be spelled into Helen's palm. If we all take a moment and glance at our ASL interpreters today, we see that they're making those signs in the air, and without sight, we would not be able to know what the sign language is noting. So the movement of the hand in Helen Keller's palm was similar to print in her palm. I think, Jenny, I'm interpreting what you're saying there. I've never heard that reference. If I'm wrong, I'm happy to admit, but I think it was simply an analogy. Thanks for letting me
No,
share.
the term is print on palm. When you are drawing letters in
Thank you.
someone's palm, it's
Yes.
called print on palm. And that's what Anne Sullivan used with Helen Keller. A lot of our deafblind consumers today use tactile ASL, which is signs just like Ernest and I do, but it's inside someone's hand, so they feel the actual signs instead of drawing the letters on their hands. But what Anne Sullivan used, where she did, WATER, that's
Beautiful.
called print on palm.
Excellent. Thank you for that
Yeah.
clarification and redirection of what I said. I was wondering whether tactile had been invented as a term or a methodology back then. So super up to date information. Go ahead.
Well, after that wonderful injection of knowledge from everyone, it sort of took my breath away. I'm excited for more sharing to take place from our audience. Once again, we have 4 questions for you to consider, and we want to just take a moment to encourage. And I know we did this initially, but just once again, gentle reminder: if you feel that you are able and you wish to do so, we encourage you to come off camera. Um, Again, only if you want, but just another way that we can connect with you and feel connected to you as a community. No pressure. And we'll go through these questions. I'll read each of them, and then I will look around for hands raised and we'll get to sharing. So the 4 questions are: what's your favorite way to give? Number 1. Number 2, how do you feel about giving or receiving during the holiday season? Number 3, how does being a self-advocate make giving unique? And number 4, how is gift giving different from charity? That's a tougher question. And bonus, number 5, are you a member of a self-advocates group? So, who wants to get us started? Remember, you can answer one and or all of the questions. It's a free for all.
Okay, I'm in the self advocates group with Laura Newell, and she's also the one that inspires me. I wrote that in the chat, but you probably missed it. So yeah, I'm in the self advocates of Mecklenburg County in Charlotte, and so that's my group I'm in, and the answer to who inspires me is Laura Newell. I don't know if she's on here, but and the other questions I have to get back to you. I guess I can't remember the other three. So favorite way to give is information and knowledge and resources. And I'll answer the other two if I can later.
This Johnny Thomas. For the first one, my favorite way to give is just sharing my lived experiences to help others in my community. How do I feel about giving and receiving during the holidays? I feel that my life has has turned around and has become good, so I'm blessed. And if I can give that blessing to others, it gives me a sense of peace. How does being a self advocate make giving unique? I'm on the North Carolina State CFAC. I'm on the Wake County CFAC. I was elected to the board of Oak City Cares. Um, I'm on several community committees and boards here. So advocating for others is my way of helping others who feel that their voices are silent. They feel disenfranchised by the system. Uh, um, I use that as a way to be a light to them that they're not, that they appreciate it, that they have value. Uh, and how is giving different from charity? Um, I give from my heart. I give because it's a passion and I understand it. I give because I've lived through it. I'm not giving, I don't let people feel that I'm giving to get something back from them. Um, to me, it is a mission and not, it's a mission and a purpose. It's not a charity. I'm doing this because I want to benefit others.
Very well said.
Yeah, there's so many things uh, shared there that it's one of the things that I do typically as a facilitator is I try really hard to listen, um, and then offer back to the group my own interpretation of the share, but I don't think it's necessary in this case. I think it would it might hold us back. That was just so beautifully said. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you very, very much for that. And thank you for your share as well, Yvonne. I know that I don't think Laura's with us today that I could see. Um, but I know that there's a part of her that felt that somewhere that she inspires you.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate you mentioning it, and I hope she'll probably hear about it, or I'll try to remember to tell her because I think she's on vacation and might not be on the line today. So
No worries.
yeah.
Anyone else have a
Yeah. Yes.
share?
My favorite way to give is we do Meals on Wheels, we do Backpack Buddies, we do Green Chair Project, we do Made for Me, and so forth. That's my journey.
Those are great ways to give. Thank you for that list.
Oh, sorry to interrupt one more time. ASNC means autistic. Oh my God. I'm on the board of the Autistic North Carolina of Society of North Carolina. So I'm on the
Autism
advisory
Society.
board. Sorry, huh? Right, the Autism Society of North Carolina advisory board. I'm on that board. So that's what I want to clarify is what it means because I didn't feel like typing it out like fast enough. So I just wanted to specify what it was. That's all.
I'll tell you what, y'all, there are more acronyms in our community than I think any other. So many acronyms.
Yeah, you got that right. So sorry for the mix up, but they put it in the chat for me so y'all could all see what ASNC means. So now we got it straight.
Thank you. Chris, would you reread the questions, please?
Sure. Number one is what's your favorite way to give? Number two, how do you feel about giving or receiving during the holiday season? Number three, how does being a self-advocate make giving unique? And number four, how is gift giving different from charity? And number five, please share if you're part of any self-advocate organization.
Now you get to see me in my blanket and everything.
Woo!
My favorite, yeah, I'm all like, I don't know if I'm going for the emperor because we're talking about the force or hermit. My favorite way to give is not always the favorite way for people to receive, but I info dump. I love to teach people. So I love to do anything that I can to help help empower people. And the gift giving, it's nice to get a gift to know that somebody cares about you, but it's better, I think it's better to give. Me personally, I like to give, and that's like, it makes you feel really good. Being a self-advocate, make gift giving unique. How is that info dump stuff? Let me tell you about Helen Keller. Let me tell you about Justin Tucker. And how is gift giving different than charity? They can be the same. Charities usually to help an organization that you care about, and gift giving is more personal. And I'm a member of a lot of self-advocate. I one of the founders of Rev Up NC, which is the voting. And I just on Friday I swear in for the Human Relations Commission for my city, and I love to be an advocate, and I love being in this space. I almost didn't come today, and I'm glad I did because I love being in this space with everyone here.
Well, we certainly love having you, Pamela. We really do. And yes, congratulations to your recent swearing in, all you've accomplished so far, and I'm sure it's a short list compared to all the more that you're doing and are going to do. No doubt.
Do you see
I'll jump.
Acosta's? Do you see Acosta's hand?
Oh, forgive me. Yocasta, please jump on in.
Hi, everyone. I'm new to the group here. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. It's very warm and welcoming. I appreciate it. I'm a family member. My daughter is coping with ADD. And just to answer the questions, for me, the best gift I can give to anyone, anytime, is time. So to answer the second question, how do you feel about giving and receiving during the holidays? To me, it's a chance. It's not about just because it's the holiday, I had to feel like I had to give something to anybody. I try to do that year round as possible. Like I said, with time, love, and caring. But if you're asking me specifically during the holiday season, I'll say it's a chance to offer time to listening, a helping hand, to do anything, just to be there for the person that needs any help. I'm a caregiver, so I'm very involved in the caregiving space. So I volunteer through a few organizations, and mostly related to caregiving. I volunteer for women's group in Raleigh. I volunteer for AARP around caregiving. And I'm a part of the community advocacy council through the Wake County here in the Raleigh area, and a few others. So I care for my daughter. I care for my daughter at home, but I try to find time to volunteer and support others. Mostly, like I said, in the caregiving space. I'm all about self-care for the caregivers, well-being, and mental health. I'm happy to be here again. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Yocasta. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being on camera. We love new people, as Melissa has said multiple times already. So it's such a joy. And it's sometimes a little bit more difficult to step up and come forward and share as a newer individual. So we're really thankful that you were brave enough to jump in the fray with us.
Of course, thank you. My pleasure.
Absolutely. Melissa, am I missing any more hands? I don't know what's going on today with my side of technology, but for whatever reason, they're just not popping up on my screen, and I'm having to get a little extra help.
That's no problem at all. Right down, I don't see any other hands. We're getting ready to move on.
Well, before we do, I'll share.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey,
Go ahead.
I couldn't get my camera on. Can you see me?
Is this Bethany? Bethany Wagner?
Yes.
Hi, Bethany. Yeah, please jump in.
Hey guys. I am a new employee. I've been a temporary employee and now I'm a permanent employee, which is pretty awesome. I work with Division of Services for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, and I have a new position where I'm working with accessibility. So the way I love to give is like when I know the person's really gonna love it. So this is my new one. She's 7 months, and she won't know, but I got her this little toy that I know that she'll love, and that makes me excited to think about her first Christmas. She'll love what we're getting her. And I think I'm trying to remember the other questions, sorry. But another thing is about receiving gifts. I just love to receive gifts, especially when they're like well fitted or well suited to me. And I again love to give gifts. I think it's so fun. And oh, perfect, thank you. And I think where my self-advocacy role is as a person that's white, middle class, college educated, it's my ability to kind of use my elbows and make space for other people that I think should be at the table. And I think that's a unique privilege that I have that I want to utilize. And I think gift giving is different than charity because when you're giving a gift, you're really thinking about the person that it's going to. And when you're giving to charity, which is still important, it's giving something towards an organization. You just don't know specifically like where it's going. So that's what I was thinking about. And thanks for having me. Sorry about this one. She's got an ear infection, so she's miserable. So I'm loving on her a little extra.
We're so grateful to have you both. Thank you for sharing. That was beautiful. Phillips, it looks like you have your hand up.
This is Philip Woodward here. I actually know Bethany from back when she was in high school and we lived in the same neighborhood in Raleigh. So she was just a high school student and I had no idea that she had any interest in becoming an American Sign Language interpreter or working in accessibility with people with disabilities. So maybe I had a positive influence on her, and Bethany, I appreciate the way you're giving back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Philip. Any more shares before we continue? Johnny shares in the chat, I feel that the term charity has received such a negative connotation that it has distorted its real meaning. Well said, Johnny. I think that that's true. Well, as a self-advocate myself, I'll just share that my favorite way to give is twofold. One is my time. The second is along the lines of Pamela's earlier share. I love info dumping. It's my favorite thing to educate people when I know stuff. Because I like to think of myself who doesn't know much at all. So the little knowledge that I feel that I do have, I love to give away. And I think that gift giving is different than charity because it is indeed, it does indeed feel a lot more personal. And what I think our disabilities make or being an individual with IDD makes giving unique because we are I think to some degree we are inherently vulnerable, and therefore we have I'll say a special understanding of vulnerability, maybe, when compared to our non-IDD brothers and sisters. And I think that perspective allows us to lean into giving a bit more in some ways and find more uniques to give of our time and talents, which is really what brings us here today. And that's just my 2 cents. Well, we have about 15 minutes or so. I want to make sure that we have time to offer our holiday tips and tricks and share our poll. So we do have, I would say, 4 or 5 more minutes for some more shares. If there are any more individuals who want to be brave, step up, and offer their advice. I cannot talk today. Just want to double check. Is it my screen, Melissa, or am I not seeing hands?
You are not seeing hands. I think folks are ready to move on to the poll.
Well, I just wanted to say one last thing with Yocasta, which he said is very important for all of us, is self-care during this time.
Oh, well said. That's absolutely true. Self-care is so important. I think that oftentimes that might be the most neglected in our community. We're so focused on caring for each other and finding care that we forget about self-care. That is really important. Okay. Well, with that said, let's move on to our the next portion of our time together. We have an attendee opinion poll that we began sharing just 1 or 2 sessions ago. It might just be 1 session ago. It's very short. It's got 5 questions. And essentially, we would just, on behalf of the council, we would love your feedback. We want to make sure that we're doing a good job in serving our community. So with your permission, Melissa, I'll go ahead and launch it. And we will rock on. Can everyone see the questions?
Yes, I can see him starting to answer them.
Excellent.
There are 5 questions, so make sure you scroll all the way to the bottom and answer all 5. Chris, why are we collecting this information?
We are collecting this information for a couple different reasons. We're collecting the information so that we know that we're on the right track as an organization, from a self-advocate discussion series perspective. We're collecting this information so that we know how we can grow and expand into the next year. And we're also collecting this information so that we can, and correct me if I'm wrong, Melissa, we're also collecting this information so that we can share that people are actually engaging in our self-advocate discussion series over the course of the year, so that we can share with the state that we're not just twiddling our thumbs here.
You're 99.9% right, but along with sharing with the state, we're also sharing with our federal funder how we're using our taxpayer dollars, and that we are engaging individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, self-advocates, and their family members, and others, professionals in our spaces, and who they are. So it's ideal to try and get as accurate as numbers that we can of who is attending our spaces. And we do appreciate our parents and family members and other support folks in this space. So it's good to see that all of our attendees are comfortable with filling out the survey and sharing this information with us. It also helps us to improve the way that we do the self-advocate discussion series. We do appreciate hearing from you, and we accept recommendations. And we often write to you after the sessions and ask for additional input because you said something really important, or we invite you to come and do additional initiatives with the council because of information that's shared in this space. It helps the council continuously improve on how we do things. And you know what, Chris, we haven't done an intro to the Council on Developmental Disabilities in a long, long time. So maybe we'll do that sometime in 2025 and remind people who the 40-member board is. We haven't really done much of that in a while. I think we've gotten all the answers. I think everybody has had an opportunity to enter their responses that want to enter responses. So
excellent.
I'm getting ready to this is Johnny Thomas. I'm sorry. I'm getting ready to submit my answer. But there is one thing. Number 2, I live in a big city or a small town. I think that's to be more of either you live in a rural or an urban area, because I'm in Raleigh. And in the terminology, this isn't considered a big city. I think when you label it that away, you're taking a lot of people out of the picture. I think an urban or a rural or urban area is more. It's a better perspective, and it gives a better. I think it's more descriptive of where most of us live in.
Thank you,
That's
Johnny.
my personal opinion.
I really appreciate that, but I want to ask this whole group and yourself too. So do we keep big city, small town and add rural or urban, or do we only do rural and urban? Because there's also medium-sized towns in North Carolina, because if you know New York City, Raleigh and Charlotte, our biggest cities in the state, don't really compare to the New York cities of the world. But for our state, Raleigh is considered one of our larger cities. It is considered that urban area that you're describing, Johnny. So do we keep 4 or just switch to urban and rural?
So far, we got 2 votes for all 4.
Yvonne, are you laughing at me? Who are you laughing at?
Personally, I say just urban or rural. Pretty
No,
much.
I'm not laughing. I'm trying to type and read comments and everything. It's hard to see, but I was just laughing probably at one of the jokes that Philip puts in here. His jokes are funny.
Okay.
And then I'm rooting for all four because he's right. It could be a big city. Charlotte's becoming a big city. And then you have the rule, the all four is good. So
Yeah, okay.
that's my vote. Try to separate the laughing for the jokes, Philip's jokes. But I don't know. It just looked together. So
All right. So
okay.
yeah. Well, we're going to work that out. But Johnny, we will absolutely be responsive to the input that you've given here today. And you will see rural and urban the next time you come into the room. And we look forward to seeing you again in January.
Very much do.
Yes, ma'am. Thank y'all. I'll be there.
Excellent.
Well, long as we're not between the 6th and the 10th, because I'm going back to get my certification as a peer support specialist. So I'll be in training for that week for that.
Oh, good for you, Johnny. Well, we look forward to having you in that space and having you in our space. And the next session is January 15th. So
I can read that.
we look forward to finding out what your experience was. All right, Chris, thank you.
Okay. Well, do I click share results, Pam, or do I just Melissa, excuse me, or do I X out?
You could X out. You're good.
Okay. There we go. Okay. Next to our holiday giving tips and tricks. So start with your value, number one. What are you good at? What do you love? How can you use your talents to make someone feel good this holiday season? Number two, giving is meant to be a joyous act for the giver as much as the receiver. If we think joyfully, we can give more easily. To that note, Pamela shares in the chat, Philip's jokes are a gift. I just wanted to make that quick side note. So true. Yeah, number three, use self-advocacy to your advantage this season. You have human experiences that other community members don't have. Think of how your life experience can be used to benefit others, and you just might come up with your own unique way of giving back. Number four, follow the KISS rule, as we like to call it, when it comes to giving. Keep it simple, sweetie. The easier you make the act of giving, the more likely you are to continue giving beyond the holiday, as our new guest shared today. Use tools like craft magazines and technology like the internet to make things easiest for you. And number five, giving is a group effort. We are a community. Don't keep your giving efforts to yourself. As self-advocates, we have a wonderful opportunity to show that asking and receiving support is not a weakness, but a strength. Those are a few tips and tricks. And next, we're going to share some actual holiday giving opportunities for you on the next slide. Okay, so the list here is just, it's a limited list. And again, just as a gentle reminder, as always, we are going to send out a resource email with all of these links included. I have checked and updated these links. They do work, they should work. If they don't work, please respond to the resources email that I send out and let me know so that I can immediately fix it. And these are just limited suggestions. You all, if you have any of your own, please share them as well in the chat, and I will be sure to include them in the upcoming resources email that we share out with everyone. Number one, be a holiday pen pal. Technology is your thing and you're comfortable with online communication. You can be an online pen pal with local residents from the comfort of your own home. Number two, cards for a cause. If you love kind words and creativity but don't want to leave the couch, you can write or create holiday cards for kids in hospitals this year, either digitally or physically. the physical cards will need to be stamped and mailed. Visit the website below to learn more. Phone a friend. Maybe you don't like to write, but you love to talk and listen. Maybe this is more me and Pamela's category. There are call programs at local nursing homes in your area where you can connect with senior citizens over the phone for 30 minutes a day. Below, you'll find the names and phone numbers of a few nursing homes with programs to reach out to. Arbor Acres in Winston-Salem is one. Ashbury Health and Rehab Center in Charlotte is another. Hillcrest Center in Durham. Also sponsored by the Institute on Aging. There's a senior friendship line there listed. And last, number 4, last but certainly not least, direct community volunteer opportunities. If you prefer a more direct approach to your give back magic, there are lots of opportunities. Find your volunteer opportunities with local organizations. For example, the Triangle Nonprofit and Volunteer Leadership Center, the Raleigh Volunteer Opportunities website, and my personal favorite, Activate Good. And yes, Pamela, I'm definitely going to be sending out these resources. Don't you worry. Promise. I want to, with 2 minutes left, I want to make special mention. We're really excited to have you this year. 2024 has been an extraordinary year for the Self-Advocate discussion series. We've seen a tremendous amount of growth, a tremendous amount of participation, and this is really meant to be a manifestation of the nothing about us without us mantra. And all of you self-advocates and advocates and family members that have joined us have really made that come true for us. We, on behalf of the council, we thank you so very much. And in January, we are having a very special futures planning session. That's going to be Wednesday, January 15th. And it's a panel of self-advocates and family members and experts. We hope to see you there. Thank you, as always, so much to our Spanish interpreters, our ASL interpreters. Thank you so much to our behind-the-scenes staff who work so hard to put this on every single month. And thank you to all the self-advocates who are here listening, who are willing to jump in and participate and share your voices and your stories and your experiences with us. You make this worth it every month and every day. And we're just so grateful to be a part of your community. On behalf of the North Carolina Council on Developmental Disabilities, happy holidays. Have a wonderful time with your friends, your family, and beyond. And we look forward to seeing you next year.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all attendees and all of our interpreters. And Chris, thank you so much for your wonderful facilitation and guidance in each of these live Zoom meetings. We appreciate it. Yocosta, it was nice to meet you.
Wonderful to meet you as well, Bethany.
Oh, yes, Bethany, please forgive me. I'm sorry.
I thought we were ending, so I was saying goodbye. I'm sorry.
Glad. Bye. Take care. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays, everyone. Bye-bye.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays, Cheryl.
Happy holidays, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. You too, Pamela.
Happy holidays, Pamela.
So Irlanda, really quickly, while there's a few people still hanging on, I was texting Irlanda behind the scenes folks because I don't know how to check to see who is using the Spanish channel. And when I look at the results, there was, it's one person out of 11 said they were using the Spanish channel, but I don't know who it was.
That's me.
Oh, who said that? Oh, it was Rolanda. She goes, it was me. And I'm asking that question because I don't really know how to ask, or I know that we don't ask at the beginning of the session. I don't know that we offer at the beginning of the session that we have a Spanish channel for people to access, like we do the link that we give that Philip puts out there. Are we supposed to be putting a link out there all this time to say, if you want to go into the Spanish room, this is how you get there?
I think not a link, but just to mention that if you need interpretation, go to the globe.
Oh,
You will see the different languages. You will see English and you will see Spanish and click Spanish. Yes.
okay. So
And
there's a
probably,
go ahead.
and maybe also on the emails, I don't know, just to mention that.
That we have Spanish interpretation and how to do it. So we might be adding that to our discussion series promos on the shared drive. And Chris, we really need to add that to our introduction, like we do, like Philip does with the
Hey, Melissa,
yes, Pam.
sorry to interrupt. Are we ready for the debrief and to invite our friends to enjoy their afternoons?
So at this very moment, yeah, we can do that. I was trying to give folks an opportunity to filter out on their own. So
Okay.
if you're not a part of the team, you're welcome to leave now. So, but no, I was trying to let people, since I was asking something that maybe there were some people who were still around who might be interested in that knowledge. I was letting them, I was kind of letting them kind of stay on. I was trying to get Yocosta's attention in the private chat to find out if she spoke Spanish and would she be interested in using the Spanish channel. So
that would be wonderful.
well, so this is the second time we've used the poll and we've gotten 0 people who aren't using the Spanish channel. And so I figured we would give it at least 6 months. And if we can't get some people to use that Spanish channel, we might